Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the John Bush Show. I got another great video for you. Did my longest video, Joe Exotic video. Go watch that. Make sure you check that out. But today, we're going to talk about the books that have changed my life. I got a lot of requests from people asking me, hey, what books do you read? You know, what books do you read that give you this type of perspective on things? And so I said, oh, let me do a video on my books. So stay tuned and get ready for another great show. So, the books that I read, and especially the ones that have changed my life, we're going to start with book number 1, The Power of Habit, by Charles Duhigg. Charles Duhigg, okay? This book right here, I'm telling you, I broke a 15-year habit by reading a $15 book. Not even kidding you. A lot of great material in here. It talks about how to break a habit, you have to replace it with a new one, because you can rewire your brain in a good way or a bad way. If you have a habit, your brain will be wired to desire this thing right here over and over and over and get those dopamine hits. It will desire this habit daily, weekly, monthly, by gambling, okay? Gambling, pornography, it's the same thing. Brain-wise, gambling, pornography is the same thing as heroin, an addiction to heroin or meth. It's the same chemical background and compound as those things. So what I learned is you have to rewire your brain through creating a new habit that allows your brain to now desire this thing instead of this. Okay, that's a simplification of how you can break a habit. But the one biggest thing that this book will talk about, and it's a long book, so I'm just giving you a tiny summary. When people get stressed, when people are under stress, cortisol's released, you will want to relapse. Relapse is high when you are under stress. A family member is sick, you have job issues going on, your kids are acting up, whatever it is. This talks about how in those times having hope and a belief system, especially in a higher power, can help you continually be sober and maintain your sobriety from whatever addiction it might be. Next book changed my life. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey. This book is humongous. And at first I didn't really like it until 2 months after I read it. 2 months after I read this book, I was like, wow, that book was powerful. And one of the best things he talks about in here is he sets up 4 quadrants, right? In the second quadrant, he talks about things that aren't urgent, but are necessary. Okay, PC activities, things that you need to do, but you don't really have to do them now, but you should do them, like working out, exercising, eating right, you're having good health. Even though you're only 22, only 28, eating right now can set you up for success later. All those activities, reading, okay, writing, doing good habits for your body, mind, and soul, doing them now when you're young, when you don't necessarily have to, has the biggest payoffs in the long run. And another thing he talks about is, I learned a lot about reading books in general from this, because he talks about being proactive instead of reactive. Reading books by good authors that have great content is almost like having a mentor, a personal mentor for $15.99. Okay, those are some of the great lessons I've learned from this book. And this book, I'm telling y'all, is directly related to this book. After you read this full thing, you will see a lot of the principles, and he's actually a pretty religious guy himself. A lot of the principles in this book are related to this book. Okay, I call it the good book. Okay, the ground principles are it really all comes from here. Okay, but we'll talk about this one later. Next, we got my boy, Malcolm X. I actually have his glasses in my room. Actually, here they are right here. I bought the man's glasses and everything. But I'm telling you, I don't care if you're black, white, Latino, you need to read this book. Because this book talks about humans. It talks about America, history, prison reform. This man has the key to prison reform. Okay? Malcolm X became who he was when he went to prison because a multi-millionaire lent his library, personal library, to the prison that Malcolm X was in. Malcolm X took the initiative to literally read as many books as he can. He read so many books that he developed astigmatism in his eyes because he had to read when the lights went out, because they turned the lights out in prison at a certain time. So he developed astigmatism, hence why he wears these glasses. And he said he learned so much from just reading books that he brought himself through a 4-year education. And when he got out, he became Malcolm X, met Nation of Islam, and he went to Oxford University to talk. These students said, and Oxford University said he was the smartest man that they had ever met. And they said, what was your alma mater? What college did you go to? He said, I didn't go to any college. I went to the University of Reading at the Avenue of Books. So he literally learned all of that just from reading books. And a lot of the personal change and development and growth in my life literally came by reading books, which my first one I read, I'll go to that next one, I don't have it on me, but it was Outliers. Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. That book literally changed the way I think about success, how people are set up for success, how people are in the right place at the right time. Basically, no one else could have really started Microsoft unless they were a white man in that time frame, in that area. That's really all you could be. There was really no other demographic of male or probably even female that could have started Microsoft at that place in time, because Bill Gates was set up for success. He was smart, he had the right education, he had the right complexion, he had the right gender, and he was at the right place at the right time and the right age to get the success that he had access to some of the first computers ever. Most 90% of people did not have that type of access. So it wasn't like Bill Gates just, oh, I woke up and make Microsoft. It was a series of things that happened that led him to become who he was. Next, this one, The Subtle Art of Not Giving Up. You can read the rest. The first 10 minutes of this book were so amazing. I was like, wow, I'm so glad, because we judged this book by its cover. And this book is not what you think it is. It's just a counterintuitive approach of living a good life. Honestly, this was the first time, I had a hard time trying to settle down. He talked about something called the paradox of choice. When a person, especially a man, has too many options if a man has 17 job offers, which one he's gonna take? It's gonna be a lot harder for him to settle down and take one job because he might fear he's missing out on something else. Same with men in marriage and relationships and all sorts of things. On top of that, he talks about how everything is not always right for everyone else. Leasing a car is good for some people. I think sometimes people tell you that buying a car outright in cash or financing it might be the best way to go, but for some people that works. It's not gonna work for everybody. It depends on what's good for you. That was some of the gems from this book. Read this book. Then you guys might have seen this book from my last video, okay? Translife Survivors by Walt Heyer. I'm telling you, if you have just a little bit of an open mind, if you read this book, you will see how human behavior, our mindset is structured and built up from how our childhood is. Your childhood, things that happen to you in your development years, even things throughout high school, college, can help shape you as a person mentally, physically, and in your behavior. I mean, they talk about the trauma and how it affects people, trauma as rape and abuse and dysfunction. But even small stuff like, being bullied, being picked on. Smaller things like one child seemed like they were favored more than the other. And it led to a 20 years of wrong thinking and rejection in the life that produced other things. Okay. And last but not least, the good book. I'm telling you, I have a lot of atheist friends, a lot of agnostic friends, and honestly, I tell some of them to read this. Especially Proverbs was written by a pimp. The dude had like 1,000 wives or something like that. His name was Solomon. And honestly, the gems in Proverbs alone, I push anybody to read it. It doesn't matter what religion you are. I actually plan on reading the Quran pretty soon. There are so many gems, so much wisdom in this book, from the Old Testament to the New Testament, I'm telling you. And a lot of these books, when you read them, the root principles of them are in here. All these books together, you can find the root principles of them in here. I'm telling you. None of these books are perfect. Some of these books might say, do this thing, but that might not be good for you. Eat the fish and spit out the bones. Whatever applies to you and can help you grow, take that part, all the bad stuff, spit it out, don't use it. That's basically it. These are the books, the main books that I've read that had a significant change on my life. There's one honorable mention that I want to say. I don't have the book on me, but it's called Satan, I'm Taking My Health Back. Really kind of weird title, but it's by Dr. Jawanza Kunjufu. That is his name. This doctor, he's written, arguably, in my opinion, the best book on health, foods, and eating and diet I've ever read. Anyone that I've given this book to has either went vegetarian for a few months or changed, or vegan for a few months, or changed their entire diet in general for years. I've given it to girlfriends, I've given it to peers, coworkers, friends, family. It will change your life, I'm telling you. In the comments below, if you've read any of these, if you've known these books to be good or maybe not so good, let me know. We can talk about it. But for me, these books have been instrumental in helping me grow as a man and as a person. That's it. Like, comment, subscribe. And let me know what books you guys read. Let me know if you've read the same books or not. That'll do it. Thank you.